Erika Girardi has been dominating the media in recent months. If it's not because of her divorce or being on her highly rated TV show, it's definitely because of her husband Tom Girardi's lawsuits. It's been a whirlwind. Simply put, she's everywhere. With that being said, whether you love her or hate her, there's one thing we can't deny. She's a determined woman that won't allow life to back her into a corner. So let's see how she got that way. Erika Girardi was born Erika Chahoy in 1971. Her mother, Renee Chahoy, was 18 years old at the time of her birth. She named her daughter Erika after Erica Kane, the character that was portrayed by actress Susan Lucci on the soap opera All My Children. Her father, whose name has not been revealed, wasn't really ready for fatherhood. He was a mechanic at a car dealership in town at that time, and he wanted a different life for himself. So he left the family when Erika was only 9 months old. So she grew up in a single-parent household and learned about music at an early age. Eventually, her mother became a classical trained piano teacher that studied music at Georgia State University. According to Erika, because her mother had not been able to fulfill her own dreams of performing in stardom, she pushed her daughter to accomplish what she couldn't. She wanted her daughter to be a star. Erika would go on to admit the constant pressure her mother put on her made her hard-edged and determined. Nevertheless, it also made her fall in love with the arts. She graduated high school at the age of 18 and immediately moved to New York City to pursue her musical career. She often stated, "New York City is such an awesome place with a lot of great artists doing great things at a top level. It was a really, really good place to go and hone your artistry." But honing your artistry and making ends meet were two different things. She had to financially make a living for herself, to provide a roof over her head and food to eat. This is when she took a job at Shaker's Strip Club in Carlstadt, New Jersey. Erika would go on to say that she wasn't a stripper, she was a go-go dancer. However, the business was advertised as a strip club with private lap dances. Ironically, fellow housewife Danielle Staub also worked there. Staub has confirmed that she was a stripper. There's been no evidence to confirm that the two worked there at the same time or if they even knew each other. Years later, Erika would go on to pay homage to her strip club days by posting an 18-year-old Erika in front of the Palace Gentlemen's Club in Passaic, New Jersey. This club was a place that was once raided by police for making illegal money from prostitution. Erika was quoted for saying, "Maybe if I had grown up with wealthy parents, I wouldn't have been working at a place like Shaker's, but you play the hand that you're dealt." And she was right. We all have the choice of making decisions for our individual lives. She had a goal, and she was determined to get there, so she did what she had to do. In a Manhattan nightclub called China Club, Erika met her future husband, a DJ named Thomas Zizzo. He was also struggling to make a successful career for himself. After several months of dating, she realized she had not taken her birth control pill and she was pregnant. So the couple decided to get married. The day she went into labor, Thomas insisted that they walk to the hospital because they didn't have any money for a cab. So they walked to the 6th train. Her son, Tommy Zizzo, was born in 1994. After 5 years of marriage, the couple's marriage fell apart, and Erika took full responsibility for it. At the end of the day, she wasn't adult enough to be a wife, and she wasn't done with show business. So she got her marriage annulled and left her 18-month son with his father until she could get back on her feet. Then she moved to Los Angeles, California. In LA, she worked on her acting resume, getting bit roles in television and B movies. In 1995, she got a job as a waitress at the famed restaurant Chasen's, located on Beverly Boulevard. It was a restaurant popular to the Hollywood elite. It also was a favorite to famed attorney Tom Girardi, who was also an investor of the restaurant. The two developed a friendly rapport with each other. According to Erika, she waited an entire year before she gave him her number. She would go on to say, she was attracted to the way he treated people. He respected everyone, whether you were a cocktail waitress, a server, or a janitor. However, critics refused to believe her. Many couldn't believe that a 27-year-old woman could be attracted to a man 33 years her senior. Not only that, technically, he was still married to his second wife, Kathy Reisner. During the divorce proceedings, Kathy hired a forensic accountant to dig through Girardi's finances and discovered that Tom was dipping into his client's trust account. This behavior was grounds for disbarment, yet somehow this information never became public and Tom continued to practice law. The couple married in 2000, and instantly Erika's world changed. She was suddenly what many people called filthy rich. At the time, Tom was estimated to be worth $264 million. To say money was not a problem would be an understatement. Her new life consisted of trips, elegant dinners, legal events, and attending Tom's award ceremonies, which were plenty, since he was considered one of the top trial lawyers in the nation. She loved the role of being a lawyer's wife. Tom even embraced his role as a stepdad. They both had the world in the palm of their hands. They literally could buy whatever they wanted. So it was strange when the IRS filed multiple liens against the couple in 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, and 2008, totaling $4 million. Nevertheless, life was great until it wasn't. Erika became bored with material things and realized she was living Tom's life. She missed being creative, so she decided to return to music. She created the stage persona called Erika Jane. In 2010, she started her own record label called Pretty Mess Records. She described her music career as a self-funded project, funded by Tom Girardi, of course. They put millions of dollars into choreographers, dancers, makeup artists, photographers, and much more. But it all paid off. The plan worked. She released her first single, Roller Coaster, and it went straight to #1 on the dance charts. Many hits followed, and before you knew it, Erika had a cult following. She even worked with the rapper Flo Rida. Life got even better for Erika when her big break came. Her good friend of 9 years, Yolanda Hadid, back then known as Yolanda Foster, suggested that she audition for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. She did, and the next thing she knew, as if it was meant to be, she was a cast member of season 6 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, which premiered December 1st, 2015. And just like the other housewives, being on that show came with the good and the bad. Her first season, she was a cast favorite. People considered her witty and charming. But if you stay on the show long enough, eventually you will run into drama, just like every other housewife. She was caught calling Lisa Vanderpump a sniper from the side. Season 7, she accidentally flashed PK because she wasn't wearing any underwear under her dress. Season 8, she got labeled a bully for verbally attacking Teddy and making her cry. Season 9, she banned with the other women and accused LVP of giving story to the tabloids, which resulted in her quitting the show. Then Tom got sued for not paying back a $6 million loan, and fans called her fake for not talking about it on the show. It was as though each year her reputation was getting worse and worse. Season 10, she starred on Broadway in Chicago, but Tom didn't show up for the show. Then, out of nowhere, in November of 2020, she filed for divorce. The public was stunned. No one seen this coming. Divorce is probably one of the worst things that could happen to a person, but not for Erika Jane. Her life, unfortunately, got even worse. Just weeks after filing for divorce, in December 2020, Erika's life plunged into chaos when Jay Edelson, a lawyer who had worked closely with Mr. Girardi, filed papers in federal court in Chicago claiming that Tom had embezzled at least $2 million in settlement money owed to these families. Then there was another victim named Joseph Rugamez who said that Tom owed him $11 million. People started coming out of the woodwork accusing Tom of stealing their money. There were lawsuits everywhere. And Tom wasn't the only one in the hot seat. Reports began to surface that Tom had transferred $25 million to Erika's company, EJ Global, which meant that more than likely she would have to pay that money back to the victims. The whole thing was absolutely chaotic and very public. Public scrutiny was inevitable. The Girardis were definitely in the hot seat. Everyone had an opinion. And to make matters worse, because the show was her only source of income, it all played itself out on season 11. Being on that show was a publicist's worst nightmare. Erika came off very defensive and unsympathetic. Her explanations as to what happened between her and Tom were inconsistent and forever changing, to the point that even her own cast members thought she was lying. And it really didn't play well with the public. They basically, turned against her. But not her mother. Renee continued to show unwavering support for her daughter. She would go on to say that she thought Sutton, Garcelle, and PK should be financially helping the victims. Her exact words were, "They have money. Why aren't they volunteering to help the victims?" Now reports are surfacing that Tom paid off politicians and members of the bar to help keep his alleged crimes a secret. And if he had that much power to keep his alleged crimes a secret for 22 years, is it possible that he had enough power to keep this a dirty secret from Erika? Or is it impossible to be with someone that long and not suspect something isn't right? Eventually, time will reveal it all. Lover or hater, this woman has experienced the highest of the highs and the lowest of the lows. And she's still standing. She even asked Bravo for a raise for her to return for season 12. And she got it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section. What do you think about Erika Girardi? Until next time, bye for now.